Okay, well, so for some reason, my computer was scanning for viruses and it shut down and stopped my recording. So hopefully, I'll figure out how to piece it together. So, anyhow, I'm going to unplug this right now, let that cool down, and let's take a look under here and see. Mm, wow, that's really thick on there. So I think I'm going to move it over here and I am going to plug it back in and try to get some of that a little bit thinner and spread around better, huh? Because that's really, really thick and not the result that I wanted. I'm going to try to move it over to this side. Yeah. There we go. Just go ahead and use that up. So I'm kind of new at this whole encaustic thing. So I might be doing things not the greatest. So let's take a look now and see. Okay, I think that looks better. I can see I need to use less of the wax. Okay, so you saw down here you can't really see through, and here that's my hand, so you can. So the wax is definitely see through. And in terms of how it feels, not as sticky as the Daddy Vans, I'm gonna say, but we're gonna use the Daddy Vans down here, and then I'll have a direct comparison. And I may be using too much of the Daddy Vans too. Something else about Daddy Vans that you may not be aware of is you can use this and then heat emboss. So you can rub this on your stamp and then you can heat emboss. Yeah, and it works great. So this would take the place of your other embossing fixative. So I think that's pretty cool. Okay, and again, I have probably put too much down here. So it does take a little bit longer for it to be effective. There, it's starting to soak through. But, so let's just, there it is. See, it's soaking through. It just takes it a little while. You can look on the back and you can see it's not nearly as soaked through. So, keeping that in mind, then let's put some here. this side. And there you go. You see it's soaking through more. And becoming transparent. Okay. So it's maybe not as, yeah, it's not that, doesn't take that long. Okay. So now we'll flip it back over. And yep, there's my fingers. I did a smaller spot, so that's part of it too. But yep, you can see. Now, let me feel this. Feels a little greasy, but now I wonder, we could probably just dab that off. This doesn't feel greasy, so let's see if we can just dab this off some with a paper towel. Oh yeah, that feels great. And is it still transparent? Yep, you can still see my fingers in there. So yeah, there you go. So just rub it off a little bit once it's done its thing. And there you have it. So, Daddy Vans versus the Encaustic. And in terms of price, don't know which one you might find cheaper. Depends upon your sources for your beeswax and for your Daddy Vans. So I'm going to say you'll have to do that comparison on your own, okay? Now, so we've done that. Cool. And I will be using this picture in an upcoming video. And let me show you what I have planned for the cover. Okay, so, and let's see how this looks now. Yep, I like it. Okie dokie, over here on the cover, here's what I have planned. I really wanted it to be rustic, and I couldn't really decide between a birdhouse or a bird nest. So I thought, well, we can kind of make it look like either one, can't we? So that's kind of what I did. Now, I went out and gathered some sticks. I've used this trim. And I used a little bit of twine and some cheesecloth that's been tea and coffee dyed. This fuzzy trim right here. And then I found a little teensy pine cone and kind of created this little image. Then my bird. My bird is actually printed on fabric. This is one of the cutouts, one of the birds from Caroline's Craft Tree. Now, here's what it looks like, or pretty similar to what it looks like printed. So is the coloration brighter? Yes, but when you print on fabric, that does change somewhat. So the other thing is, I had a scrap of this fabric left from another journal I'm working on. So I just flipped it over and used this side to print on, okay? And here are some other things that I printed. Now, I use the wax paper method. And these aren't super vivid pictures anyhow of birds, but they do dull up some when you put them on fabric. I will admit that. Now, the technique I used is the freezer paper technique, which means you take a piece of freezer paper. This is the flat side, and this is the waxy side. And you iron your fabric on top of the freezer paper. Take a little time to press it down because I kind of went fast and then I had spots that weren't all the way adhered and I had to go back and take my time and press it and move on and press it and move on. Okay, so I did a whole page. I have a laser printer and it's very sensitive to paper size and texture, so I didn't know if it would work, but alas, it did. And so, yeah, that's what they might look at. And of course, I cut and sewed and made this little 3D figure. Okay, so that's one of the ways I plan on using her printouts. Then I found this cutesy quote. It says, "Be as a bird perched on a frail branch that she feels bending beneath her. Still, she sings away all the same, knowing she has wings." Okay, and so that's gonna go kind of like that on here. And then, I gathered sticks and twigs and things that I thought I might use, and I kind of like that's got some bark on it, and I kind of like that. So that'll either be on this page somewhere or on another page too. So that kind of shows you what that might look like when I get to that. Now, other things that I've worked on for this journal, I'm sorry I keep reaching across. Okay, so some of the other things I've been working on. I made some clusters, and this method was from Tina, a Shabby Dabby Doodah. And with this technique, again, I used book pages. I took 3 book pages and I took 3 different types of background paper, tore them into little clumps. Now, the background paper here that I used was actually something I had printed on vellum. This was a printable from Antique Papery, I believe. And then this background is actually a jelly print. So here's another way to use jelly prints. Anyhow, so you use your paper page, your book page rather, you tear a piece of background paper, which is what I did here, and then tear bits and pieces of other things and just make a cluster. And so I also had taken some of the bird printouts and printed them on tracing paper. And then I obviously glued all this together to form my cluster. So the birds are actually from Caroline's Craft Tree, and they're on tracing paper, okay, with my jelly print background, some music paper, and a die cut, and then of course the book page background, so you can see just a book page background. Here's another one. Another cluster. So these will be all ready for putting in this book. And then I do have another book, another journal that I'm working on that has some birds in it as well. So adorable little hummer there. Then this one I thought I'm going to throw in a little bit of this burlap or Hessian or whatever you want to call it. And it kind of faked the look of a bird nest and gave it some texture. Now, this background was just a piece of scrapbook paper that I probably wouldn't have used otherwise. So, just odds and ends. Okay, so that's something I've been doing to prepare for this. And then this was a tag I had made using napkin decoupage. And this is kind of what inspired the idea to make the bird journal. So this, of course, has to go in here, right? And here are some other things that I've been working on with the kit. Again, I'm sorry for reaching across and in front of you. Okay. So first thing, let me show you these. These are some tags that I created, of course, using that masterboard idea. And then I decoupaged, and these are different napkins I had that have birds on them. Oops, there's another one. I thought so underneath. Really love this napkin. Okay, so there are those. So those are some more odds and ends I'll be using in this journal. And then I've had this forever. So it seems to me this is going to have to go in there somehow or another. And using the birds again, I found a template for some journaling cards and tags. And then I put the birds from Caroline's kit on here, did some stamping and aging, distressing. And then over here, the back side, I actually had planned on using those brown napkins that you get from, you know, drive-throughs, fast food, whatever. Couldn't find it. And so I thought, wonder if I could use the natural coffee filters. So that's what I did, and lo and behold, it worked just fine. And then I just did a little distressing and stamping. This is a little pocket, and again, I superimposed a bird on there. Made a tag using the same technique and different bird. And again, use that napkin on the back. So it kind of looks, you know, a little antique-y and rustic and distressed. So there's that. Then I miniaturized it and made some. And then I made a set even smaller. So I thought I might be able to use those. Then I played around with using some ledger paper. And so this could fit in a pocket or be this part glued down, and it opens up, and then it's full sheet of ledger. I think these would be great for making lists myself, but anyhow, so that's that. So I made a couple of those, and again, these are all birds in her kit. And then I decided, what else can I do? So I made these bigger sheets. I've been playing with Paint 3D, and I can't quite figure out why everything keeps coming out a different size. And so I'm pulling it into uh, another format to print, but they're all three different sizes, and I thought they were all going to be the same, but they're not. So different backgrounds, different birds. Okay, so two more birds on a green background that time. I really like this background. Now the backgrounds are not, I do not believe they are Caroline's. I believe they might be from Graphics Fairy, not positive. I could be wrong. And then I made a sheet of a collage sheet of the birds. Okay. So there's that. Then I brought it down smaller. Thought I'd make a little booklet to go in here because that other piece is, they're too big for this little journal. Okay, so you get the idea. All right, last thing I worked on is Daphne's diary. This was a page out of there. This half of the page was beautiful with the bird on it, and I will do some more embellishing to that side. But this side only had this part of a design. Then it had a lot of print and such. So I just sewed it just very lightly, just to kind of push that print into the background. And then I found some more of this trim on the page, cut it, and put it on. Looks like I need to reboost some of it. The gesso probably wasn't totally dry when I glued it on. And then I'll be doing something with this. So this will be a bookmark featuring birds and flowers. So these are all things I'm working on right now for this, which will be my July design team project for Caroline's Craftery. So thanks for joining me today and taking a look at what I've been working on. Stay safe. I hope that you are well and that you're out there working on some projects as well. If not, get out there and make something. Have some fun. Take care. Bye-bye.